Wow. Just wow. I watched the first 4 episodes of the newly released Frieren and I'm absolutely stunned by how incredible it was. It was fantasy at its most creative. One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, Full Metal Alchemist, Berserk, Made in Abyss, Hoseki no Kuni, Dorohedoro. Fantasy is a very funny genre. It lets your imagination run completely wild and be as creative as you want. But it's also very noticeable when an author gets trapped in somebody else's world and story while writing his own. And we've sadly gotten a lot of those kinds of fantasy anime in the past few years. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for the day a new fantasy anime comes along and instantly capture me with its creativity. And Frieren managed to do that in just the first 5 minutes of the anime. In just the first 5 minutes of the first episode, it presents a very attractive, compelling premise. A premise that combines two different fantasy premises together. What is the next chapter in your life after you defeat the evil Dark Lord? And what is life like for somebody who has a much longer lifespan than humans do? Frieren combines these two premises together in a very engaging, interesting way. It's a refreshing breath of fresh air that we don't often see in fantasy media, especially not in anime. We almost always focus on the more exciting good versus evil part of the adventure and not really on its aftermath. Frieren's focus on an elf girl who watches her human friends pass away with time has a very powerful personal feel to it. We can instantly resonate with it because we can also relate to having our own loved ones pass away from this world and us regretting the time that we've taken for granted with them. So it connects with most of us quite instantly. But an anime's concept is only as good as its execution. So, how was its execution? The execution of the anime was just as wonderful as its concept. Studio Madhouse and director Keiichiro Saito does a phenomenal job at making the world feel alive. The music has a certain Lord of the Rings touch to it, and the production in general is very artistic. Whenever there is a pretty big time skip in the middle of an episode, instead of just skipping to the new time period, we see montages of the characters interacting in so many different engaging ways. Transitions like these happen quite frequently in just the first 4 episodes, but none of the montages feel similar to each other. It is actually scary how amazing and visually stimulating these scenes are. And on contrary to those kinds of scenes, it also does a great job at making sure that the quiet, delicate scenes are given the focus and the importance that they deserve. I've always said that it's harder for a writer or a director to pull off a slice of life scene when nothing is happening rather than an action-packed scene in an anime. The quiet, heartwarming moments of Frieren are incredibly engaging. You could even say that it is stimulating to the viewers because of its insane creativity. It feels exactly like how I felt when I was watching my favorite anime, Arya. The combination of a really gorgeous fantasy world and a focus on the quiet introspection of our main characters is just mwah. When you look at Frieren as a whole, the least appealing part about the anime is most likely its character designs. They kind of look like designs that we've seen so many times before in the past. But even that feels quite intentional on the creator's part to remind us of the lore of the anime. The designs feel similar to those kinds of anime with adventurers trying to take down the demon lord. It's a good reminder of Frieren's bonds with her human companions. I'm gonna highlight Frieren's thoughtful perspective on high fantasy using this one scene from episode 4. So if you guys haven't seen Frieren yet, I suggest you guys come back to this video after catching up with the anime. In this particular scene, Frieren and Fern goes to a village to kill a demon general who has been sealed there for 80 long years. Frieren tells a cute apprentice how the demon was too strong for the heroes to kill and that they had to seal him in the end. Now 80 years later, Frieren fights him again and this time she easily kills him. Even Fern manages to fight him off pretty well, and the reason for that had me super excited about the entire anime from here on out. The demon's magic was so strong that humanity researched and integrated it into their own magical system. The world, the magical system, and humanity in general are always evolving in the story. Just look at our world. Science has evolved, the way we play sports have evolved, we integrate different things into our culture, and that should be true even in fantasy worlds. But stories rarely show that off properly. And I love how, just like Cosmere, Malazan, and Hunter x Hunter, Frieren is always showing off the world's evolution in a very mature, thoughtful way. And on top of that, the story is just so cute to me. You feel rewarded for paying attention to the little moments in the story. One of the little moments that personally stuck with me was when Frieren was talking about knowing a spell that could turn sweet grapes into sour ones. It was a very comedic moment at the time, but if you pay close attention later on, you'll notice that it was something that she did because it was her old companion's favorite food. These are little details that we only get if we pay close attention to the little conversations that happen. It's very cool in a meta kind of way where Frieren as a character is introspecting about the little moments that she's had with her old friends, while we as viewers are understanding more about Frieren and her relationship with her friends in a more indirect way. So that is an awesome parallel to have between the viewer and the protagonist, and I love that part about the story as well, and I love how subtle it is. I'm so happy that Madhouse is making this show with such a gorgeous production. All of us who pay attention to anime studios would know that they are the best anime studio. You could tell that just by the things that they've made in the past. Almost everyone would have at least one Madhouse anime in their favorites. But the studio has also fallen off for a lot of people lately, and understandably so. They haven't really been making a lot of great works, or at least that's a perception of it. Regardless of whether that is true or not, which I don't think it is, I'm really happy that they're back in the minds of people. Frieren truly feels like a peak studio Madhouse anime for the modern era. I'm genuinely excited to see where the anime goes on from here on out. I'm hoping that it continues to push fantasy anime in interesting new perspectives, and I hope it tells a wonderful story for our protagonist. There is a real promise of greatness here, and I cannot imagine the show not living up to this hype. Let me know what you guys thought about Frieren so far. I'd like to know whether you guys found it to be just as creative and refreshing as I did. I'm hoping that the next time I talk about Frieren on this channel, it'll be a great show. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time.